Millsap didn't have a great scoring series, I don't believe, and like made some big threes or shots and plays. Same with Jeremy Grant. You know, the guys you're not going to rely on in the big moment, they stepped up and made some big shots, which just gives you that gap. You know, not to mention their defense. So, yeah, I agree. I think you make a great point about not letting teams get that momentum. Like, you know, when you've been through this, but when you especially young players that get in the playoffs are so emotionally charged that you win a game, you feel invincible. So inherently, you're going into a scrap the next day with, you know, and it's like psychologically the scale's shifted. You're happy, you're confident, and sometimes that can be so misleading because you got a team on the other side that's on the mat that is desperate and just watch the film for an hour and a half, and their coaches ripped them, and the media is telling them they suck. And so psychologically, there's a shift every time a game is played in the playoffs, and it's about managing that shift. It's never too high, never too low is the way a lot of people message it, but that's what it's about, is how can you, even if you're up 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, feel like you're the underdog, like you are more desperate than the other team. That is the challenge in the playoffs, because it is an emotionally charged event. It's a roller coaster, and you want to limit the ups and downs of that roller coaster and just create that same motivation, that same greedy mentality to win. And I think some of my son's teams, our son's teams, you know, you get stuck, you drop a game and you get stuck, and a series goes to 6 games instead of 5, 7 games instead of 6, and then the Spurs are waiting for you. Like, you're doing yourself no favors. So I think there is a battle of attrition as well in the playoffs, and it's important. You know, you got to knock people out as quickly and before any weird shit becomes possible.
The other psychological sort of difficulty in a playoff series is point differential. And Stan used to always talk about this, because you see this happen where a team gets blown out. They lose by 20 or 30 in let's say a game 2 or a game 3. And the mood changes, the confidence changes. And so Stan would always tell us, like, whether you win on a buzzer beater or you win by 30, you just get 1 in the win-loss column. You know, and then you go and you make your adjustments the next game. There's no carryover to the next game.
Two-time MVP Steve Nash. A lot of people say he shouldn't have won those 2 MVPs. I disagree. I think he deserved them. A lot of people say that Kobe Bryant should have won it, but I think one year, the first year, I don't think the Lakers even made the playoffs. And next year, I think the Lakers was like an 8th seed or something like that, lost in the first round. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kobe was balling, but I mean, his team, he wasn't lifting his team to contender status. And so that's why I think I think Steve Nash should have won that MVP. Some people were saying Shaq, but Shaq was in Miami at the time, and he wasn't the Shaq that we remember from LA. But anyway, if you disagree, fight me in the comments. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. What up, though? This is Kevin Melson with Beyond Your Limits. And in this video, we got Steve Nash talking about how your emotions can change a series, can change how you play. And I definitely agree with that a lot. He was talking about how when a team loses, if you get blown out or something like that, that lowers the morale of the team for the next game. But any little switch in momentum can change that around. A lot of times when if you're expected to win, usually if you jump out to a big lead, a lot of times you can get the other team to give up, because they're already going into the game questioning if they can win. And if you jump out on them early, a lot of times a lot of teams will give up, and their morale will be down. They already was questioning if they could win or not in the first place. And once you jump out to that big lead, that just confirms what they was already kind of thinking in their head, and they'll kind of just, you know, submit and let you wipe up the floor with them. And another thing that's also true is that if you let that team hang around, then that team can end up beating you. So they might have been before the game thinking, man, we might not be able to hang with this team or not. or whatnot, and then it gets in the second half, late in the second half, and they still in the game. They're like, man, maybe we can. They start building their confidence. They start feeling good. Shots start falling down. If it's close in the end, I mean, anything can happen in a close game. So if you're playing a inferior team, a team that you're supposed to beat, you want to take care of them early as you can. And they were also talking about like in a series. I know there's not many series, well, any series in high school or college, but it's the same thing. It's the same kind of mentality for like a tournament. Like if things don't go your way during one game, maybe you're off shooting for the game, you don't want to let that roll over to the next game. Because a lot of times your confidence in those things, they come from the last game, especially if you're playing like back-to-back and things like that. If you had a good game one game, you go into the next game feeling good, feeling ready. But if you had kind of a subpar game, you don't want to let that roll over to the next game. You want to pick it up from there. So you always got to have that confidence. You always want to have that emotion, feeling good. I know a lot of people can play well when they're angry. To each his own, but I like to try to stay even keel. I don't get too high or too low, because I know anything can happen, especially in the game. If I hit a big shot, or if I miss a big shot, I know there'll always be another one coming in the future. So I don't really try to get too high or get too low. When I play, I expect to play well. When I shoot, every time I shoot, I expect the ball to go in. And that's just the confidence I have, just with a track record of what I've done in the past. And so those things can help you out a lot. Just the law of averages, like I was saying in another video. If you play bad, if you normally play well every game, if you play bad, you're definitely not gonna have two back-to-back bad games. And that's just my thought process. If I miss a shot or miss a couple shots in a row, my thought process is this next one has to go in, just for average's sake. If I shoot 50% from the field and I miss 2 in a row, then my mindset is this next one going in no matter how I shoot it. And so you just gotta have that confidence in yourself. Thanks for watching this video. Click the link in the description, the link in the bio. There's a lot of good information and things for you in there. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. I'm out.